Hi, I'm Angela. I'm midmodernmama.com, and today we are in our garden. I wanted to show you a really easy way to create some shade. We have, over the course of the last 2 years, added a bunch of shade sails to our backyard. And my husband has figured out some really easy ways to hang them and get them installed. We don't use them year-round. We take them down for the winter, but we love having them. And the only reason we take them down in the winter is because we get snow, and they get really weighed down with the snow if you don't take them down. But because of this, we've developed a really simple system for installing them so that they're quick to put up in the summer or in the spring and quick to take down in the fall before the snow flies. So we use them over the area where we eat to create some shade. We use them over our workshop. And today we're going to be installing one in a series of shade sails over the garden. We lost 2 big maple trees over the winter. They both were 70 years old, had been planted about the same time. One belonged to our neighbor, one was ours. And as a result of losing those trees, we have lost a ton of shade over our garden. So this spring, I decided that we needed to put up a series of sails to help shade some plants and give them a little respite. We're here at almost 6,000 feet in altitude, and so the sun here is pretty intense. And so even full sun plants need a little bit of shade. So I'm going to show you how to put up the shade sails, and then I'm also going to give you a little tour of our garden and how we have created some other shade in our garden as well to help protect the plants. You're going to have to forgive our dogs who are a little crazy today. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to my husband, Romano. He is the person who does a lot of the work around our house. He's my partner in crime, and in this case, he's the one who figured out how to put up these sails so that they're super easy to put up and take down. So here is my husband, Romano. Hi, Romano.
Hey, Amazon. How's it going? Thanks, Angela. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the sails today. The first thing, obviously, is the sail. These are equilateral triangles, 6 feet on each side, and they are kind of a meshy material. It's definitely plastic, and then there's a nylon strap that runs along each of the sides. They have a little bit of give to them, not much, but enough that you can get them nice and taut. And then each corner has a nice ring, and so we'll be using those today. The first thing is that to have a quick connect, we have these carabiners, and these are available on Amazon. I put all this stuff down in the carousel, so if you want to order any of this stuff, it's right there at your fingertips. But these are what really makes it easy to take these down, put them up, take them down, kind of thing. And then another thing you'll need is some paracord. This stuff is fantastic. It will hold 500 or 600 pounds, and this comes in like 100. I think this is 100 feet. Also, in fact, I think you can get this on Prime now, which I've needed to do a couple times to bail myself out when I wasn't ready with all my stuff. But this is key as well. So the first thing we need, I've got a couple pieces partly cut here. We need to make 2 loops that are roughly 2 feet long, so that they'll each be about, so we start with about 4 feet here of cord. So I'll tie off the first one here. I'm an old Boy Scout, and so I'm going to use a square knot. And the key with the square knot is that if you look at it, it's actually 2 loops that go together. And it's important that they go like this. Are you able to see that, hopefully?
Yeah.
It's important that those go together like that, because if you tie it the other way, if you've ever had trouble with your shoelaces coming undone, it's probably because they're tied not in the way that a square knot would be, but in a different way. And so anyway, here's the loop that we're going to make. Then we're going to take the corner, any of the corners of the sail, going to loop it through, and then pull the paracord through to knot it onto the end. So now we've got a loop coming off the end of the sail. So we'll repeat that process for the other one.
How did you measure the length, Ramona?
I just used a tape measure and cut 4 feet, and then for our space, we have it varies from 10 to 11 feet along the side of our house, and so it's not much less than that distance that we need for the total. So the 2 loops on the ends plus the 6 feet on the side of the sail gets us right around 10 feet. Plus there's a little bit, the carabiner is about 3 inches as well. So you'll have to experiment, and the thing is, you need a little more tension than you think. So we know these measurements because this is our 4th sail that we're hanging. You might need to experiment a little bit, and you'll see that the 3rd one of these is one where I do make the adjustments to put some tension on the whole thing. So here's the loop again, and then it's on the sail. So here we're going to start with one of the loops here. We're going to go ahead and put the carabiner on, and then we already have some stuff mounted to the side of the house. What we've used is these little eye hooks that you can order on Amazon as well, and one end attaches to the house, and then the other end attaches to the fence, to the top of our fence, which we'll do in a minute here. So I'm going to go ahead and hang this guy off of the eave of the house. And then I'm going to rotate so that the seam is up. We want the seam to be up so that we have the nicer side facing down. And then I'm going to take that other loop here that I've prepared, and we're going to take this over and hang it from the fence. And that's a little short, so I'm going to need to cut a little more rope for us. So rather than completely undo this, I'll just prepare another bit of rope and make another smaller loop. Looked like I was about 6 inches short. So I'm going to just go ahead and do like 18 inches. So use the tape measure for that. Quick cut with the utility knife. Square knot again. And then do the same thing with this loop as I did with the ring on the sail. And we'll see if this is long enough.
Don't forget, y'all can ask questions. Let us know where you're from. See, there are a bunch of people watching, which is fantastic. Where are you thinking about maybe installing some sails in your yard?
There we go. So that's fastened, and that is nice and taut. When we stretch in the other direction, it's going to pull on it a bit and make it nice and taut in the other direction as well. So for this next one, I actually need to have 2 knots. The first we're going to tie is called a bowline. So this is one that came from sailing originally, and this is one where you have a little movement where you make a loop, and then you come up through the hole, around the other rope, and back through the hole, and then it tightens like this. And
That was called a bowline?
The beauty of a bowline is that it will not tighten, so it holds its loop, unlike the slip knot that people often tie that just tightens and tightens and tightens. Then I'm going to go up from this a couple of inches, and I'm just going to make a loop to a simple overhand knot to make a little loop like this. You'll see why that's important. Then back to the ring. So I'm going to take the bowline, thread the loop through, and then bring the entire rope through that. So it should look like this. Bowline tied to the ring with a little loop like that. Now the next thing we need to do is put this guy on the fence. And I know as well from this that I need about 8'6" from the other side.
This is really a two-person job, I will say. Every time we have hung the others, it's been the two of us working together, but because I'm the camera person today, Romano has this set up so that it can be mostly a one-person job.
So what I want to do too is make sure that I'm attaching to the fence, but at the point where the picket, the board here, is attached to the rail behind. Right as close to those fasteners as I can, because that'll keep the board from warping or twisting, because there is some wind load from this. It's not a huge amount, but that will be the way to keep it most properly anchored in the fence. So I see that it's going to be near this knot on this picket right here. So now I just need to grab my drill. Put in a pilot hole. And then a trick I like to use, probably have installed an eye hook before and maybe use a screwdriver through it, but I actually like to use a vice grip. And I put it on at just a little bit of an angle like this, and then that turns the vice grip into a crank. Let's get this guy started. Slipped off of here. And once it gets going, you can just spin this guy and in it goes. And with these, I want to get a good deep embed all the way down to where the loop comes back to the main shaft. Then, take the loose rope like this. We're going to thread this end through the eye. Now it looks like I'm going to want a little more tension in this direction, so I'm actually going to have to move my eye hook. I'm glad this isn't going smoothly because it's going to show you guys all the things you might run into. So again, take this guy out. Other direction to come back out again. Now when I pull on this, it seemed like we were in pretty good shape. Get a good tension on this, actually all the way back here. So I'm going to go for this picket right here. And since this string is not long enough, I'm going to go ahead and make another loop for it.
There's a talking head on the other side of the fence. All I can see is a talking head.
We are showing some people how to install sails.
Okay, I'm going to go have a nice day.
Bye.
So that'll make a length of paracord that'll be about 6 feet, and then I'll be able to make a 3-foot loop out of that.
While Ramona's measuring that, I'll take a minute, first of all, to tell you that we have the nicest neighbors in the world, but also to show you, this is another way that we've created some shade in our backyard. We bought these umbrellas, and they are simply, we didn't buy stands for them. They're simply inserted into pieces of pipe, and I'll show you that in a minute. But that holds them, and then so I pop them up for the afternoons to give the plants a little bit of sun relief, and then take them down again in the evenings.
You'll notice I didn't use the tape measure this time because I happen to know that my span is about 6 feet, and so for a quick thing like this, I didn't need the precise measurement. So make the quick square knot again here. Now we've got our loop. We'll go feed that through the fence. That should be good to go. Now, grab our sail again, run it through the loop, and then what we want to do is get to that small loop that we put in there before. That is how we're going to tighten this thing up. So I loop back through that, and now I have the ability to put some tension on this. So Angela, if you want to show the sail, I'm going to let it loose, and then you'll see once we start to tighten it, it pulls in that other side. It was pretty tight before. We want a good bit of tension. So I pinch it off with one hand, and then I just do a series of quick overhand loops. And then just snug those guys up against there. I like to do 3 or 4 of them. And what that does is it gives me something that I can now use. If I need to tighten this again, that's easy enough to loosen and then tighten it again in the future. So the last thing to do, take the utility knife and trim off. And we're good to go.
And then what I will do is come back to those frayed edges, and I'll take a match or a little propane lighter thing, and just melt the edges so that that stays and is kind of perfect and doesn't come undone over the course of time. But as you can see, we have this series of 4 little shades now, and these are 6-foot triangles. They work perfectly here. We have this kind of just patchy sunlight. If we think that we were trying to replace some dappled sunlight from trees that have come down, that's the effect that we've gotten. These sails, though, come in rectangles. They come in a variety of shapes. They also come in a whole range of colors. We happen to choose turquoise because I really love turquoise. So that gives our plants down here in these raised beds just a little bit of sunlight relief, especially in the afternoon when the sun is directly overhead, and it really helps. The same is true over here with our other raised beds. We have, like I said before, a series of 4 umbrellas that we put up and take down. It gives us just a little bit of shade, a little bit of heat relief. It has made all the difference, especially with our tomatoes and other vegetables that are growing over here. It has just kept them from getting sunburned, and made a huge, huge difference. Plus, it gives us a little bit of a pop of color when everything over here is bright green. These are put together very simply. You see at the bottom, there's a piece of pipe here, and that is just pounded into the earth, and then it is ever so slightly bigger than the pole for the umbrella. And so that just slips right in. Perfect, super easy to take in and out, holds it up nice and straight. And then the umbrellas just go up and down, and we can shade things as needed. Today, actually this afternoon, is cloudy enough that we probably should just take them down. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. So thankful that you joined us. If there are any questions about gardening, or I've got to switch my camera here.
If you have any questions about gardening or about building out a garden, I will tell you that our yard, when we bought this house,